Welcome to Kelly's Reflections. This channel is about personal growth, spirituality, self love, and wellness. I'm on an evolutionary path of becoming my highest, most divine self. And so, this is why this channel is called Being Kelly. So, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kelly, and thank you for being here. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, Lovey. I missed you so much, and thank you so much for also being here. Disclaimer: it's very gloomy outside. The sun comes out and it disappears. So if some parts of my videos are dark, I apologize. It's nature. And I had to re-record the intro because it was looking a little bit brighter. But yeah, if the video gets a bit dark, just note that. And I am still learning, okay? So be nice. But if your heart is as cold as ice, this is not the place to be because it's a warm place here and you will melt. You will melt because it's all love here. So if you're willing to be gracious, open an ear with love, then stick around to hear this story because it is very interesting, to say the least. My intention is to be able to reflect back on this journey of being. And we all know that it's not easy to reflect back on your journey when you don't document pivotal and mundane moments of your life. So, yeah, this is really basically what this is about. I wanted to talk about my weekend and reflect on it holistically, also touching a few points on the astrological aspects that I found to be synchronistic and quite revealing about where I'm at in my life right now. I am currently finding a way to live out my purpose, but I'm going about it the authentic way, not in what I was taught or how I was raised, but being led by what brings me joy and fulfillment. So it's Pisces season, it's Mercury retrograde. Today, as I film this, is the new moon in Pisces. We just came out of an eclipse portal, and that has been a little crazy, if I must say, because my Pisces house is in the 10th house, which is the top of my chart. Visibility, career, how I'm seen. And my Virgo house is at the bottom of my chart, which is my fourth house, which is home, my roots, my ancestry, where I come from, and my foundation. And so, with us being in Pisces, it's been just, I've been drowning in the water. Or not really drowning, but like floating in the water and trying to find my way to just float in the water. And even though it gets overwhelming sometimes, I'm still alive. And that's good news. And so I'm at a point where I'm able to articulate all the feelings that I've experienced this season, but not fully articulate everything that I've experienced because we're still in Pisces. And, sometimes things take a while to really unfold through words, but I'm feeling a lot. I'm feeling a lot. And I wanted to just let that out a little bit. So, with Pisces being in the new moon, I mean, the new moon being in Pisces in my 10th house of career and visibility and how I'm seen, I'm reflecting very hard on how I want to be seen moving forward. Being on an evolutionary path means looking back at your past, your roots, your home, ergo my Virgo house, and seeing what shaped me into who I am today and what I would like to shift and evolve into, meaning coming to terms with things that I have to let go of and coming to the realization of things that I need to now embody moving forward. Ooh, so this weekend I hung out with my childhood friend and my cousins, and listen, it was wild, it was fun, it was exciting, and I want to give you some context here. I grew up with them from childhood, obviously. With my cousins, our parents are siblings. My dad and their mom are siblings. And with our childhood friend, we met at church. And so we've been friends since we were kids. And when we got to high school, we started singing together. So we were together basically every Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sundays, sometimes during the week. And whenever there's church events, we're always together, always arranging songs, singing, composing songs, planning on where to go fellowship, where to spread the gospel, which church to visit to go sing. We used music as a way to serve. And for a very long time, that is all I saw myself as this child of God who spreads the word through music to other churches and just serving in the church. It makes me think a lot, but it'll make sense as we go. So, being with them was nostalgic. I laughed till my tummy hurt. We sang together, and it was just so amazing how these songs that I haven't sung in years just came flowing back into my throat chakra and out melodically and harmoniously with so much ease. It was just like I was back there in high school again, singing and sharing harmonies with my friends. It really reminded me how music to me was not just music, it was life, and how it was the way I served, and it just made me feel like I was living such a purposeful life. So you can imagine the sense of freedom that came with expressing ourselves musically. But here was the challenge. We are in a very traditional church with a very strict set of rules and a very strict way of life. We were in the Seventh day Adventist church. Those who know, know. But if you don't know, I'm going to let you know. It was beautiful. It was fun. It was different. However, the rules and the regulations kept us limited from truly embodying the sense of freedom that we felt within our music. What I mean by that is practical example. We loved not just singing at our church, but visiting other churches, well, other branches of our church. And it was such a challenge to just do that because we often needed to ask for permission to go visit a church. And sometimes when we went there without permission, we the next week when we go back to our church, we know we're in trouble. And for me, looking back at it now is kind of weird because it's like, why are you mad that I'm spreading the word? I'm not out in the club where we're all fam. But I'm in another church spreading the word, meeting new people, and reminding them of God's love. Yet we kept boxed. And with religion comes a lot of fear, shame, and limiting beliefs and limitedness. So, with all of that, it was really challenging to really come to the full expression of who I am. And so when I pursued music, even outside of the church, I carried those limitations with me because they had formed such a huge part of who I am, living within this box of perfectionism, of following the rules, not really bending them, and really limiting myself kept me safe, it kept me from being shamed. It kept me from experiencing being fear mongered or being shouted at for wanting to go sing gospel. It's crazy that I say it now, but then it was just, I think I was just overwhelmed with the whole being limited thing that I didn't really realize like how crazy these kind of limits were. So now we felt like we were boxed and we had just hit the ceiling, and it was hard to pierce through the ceiling without being shamed, ridiculed, ostracized, or just being treated differently. Ugh, this is supposed to be church. This is supposed to be where we're supposed to love each other and come together. But in our expression of evangelism, it was limited, and they wanted to control it, and it just kept us small. We reflected back on how much potential we had, how much help we had from other people, but then obviously the rules and some regulations really kept us kind of trapped. And we was saying if we had this group in this day and age, it would have been so much easier because now we have social media and we're living in this digital era that is helping you reach more borders, like reach more people without being limited. But everything happens for a reason. Another thing that I reflected on was our friendship and how we bonded. It was a lot about what we had experienced in the past. It was a lot about what was happening now. And it was an eye opener for me because when you are Christian, all you live, breathe, sleep, eat is church. You just want to talk about what's happening in the church. You find yourself sometimes also in gossip. You find yourselves in positions of being judged and also judging. And so little trickles of those energies were there. But then with this time and my evolution in progress, it was a moment of awareness. Like I am at such a different place in my life now where I want my community to be more centered in our wellness and our growth. Because the truth is, the last time we really hung out together all the time was when we were in high school. Now, some of us are working, some are moms, some are finding independence, having their own businesses, hitting milestones, and a lot of things are different. Whereas when we were kids, our parents kind of ruled our lives. Now we take responsibilities of our choices and our actions. And so it's different. And now I'm at a point in my life where I want friendships that truly go deep, not just on the surface of things, but truly, how are you? How are you feeling? What's this growth thing doing for you? Considering how we grew up so religious and now some of us are not so religious, how is that transition? How do you stay grounded and well? How do you focus on not just the good of you, but the good of all? Because whether you like it or not, we bonded through acts of service. So being of service is something that is within us. I also noticed how our my patterns of people pleasing were mirrored in some of my friends. You know, I could see that mirrored back to me and realizing that I no longer want to do that. I'm a recovering people pleaser. Hi, my name is Kelly and I'm a recovering people pleaser. And so noticing those traits in someone else is like looking back on how far I've come and where I'm at and where I want to go. It was mind mind opening. You know, it was eye opening. It was liberating to really see how much work I'm putting in order to be who I want to be. I don't want to sit in communities and just talk about things that do not help or benefit my wellness. I don't want to sit in communities where I feel judged. Not that I felt judged, but I don't want to be in situations where I'm judging other people as well because who am I to judge others? You know what I mean? I'm not somebody's God. I am my own God. And therefore, I have to be accountable, be aware of the life that I'm living. And so, being mindful, being accountable, and being aware of who I am and what I want from myself, I realize that I have done the work. I've been working on myself. I've been dedicated to my personal growth, my personal soul journey. And it has not been easy, but I've been doing it. I haven't given up on myself. Challenges do come, they do get resolved, and they do go. Some don't get resolved, sometimes they just sit there. So I sit within that tension, just allowing things to come to the forefront so I can face them and act when it's time. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of being able to do the work. I'm proud of being able to reflect back on my past and to be able to see where I'm at so that I can map a proper road moving forward to my evolutionary future. And so with all that was said, I hope it all made sense. I really hope it all made sense because in my head it does, but if it doesn't, it's still Pisces season, and very soon as we go, it'll all make sense. But the closure that I got from this experience is, one, I'm growing. Two, I'm definitely not who I was when I was younger. Three, I am still holding on to values, beliefs, limiting beliefs, and structures that are keeping me small. Because even when I pursued music outside of the church, I still stayed small. And we all know that the music industry is very cutthroat. It really needs you to know who you are when you step into such a big world. And well, I'm learning. I'm learning, and I can only be gracious to myself from here on. And now I'm learning after hanging out with my friends and my cousins that I am able to love within bounds. I'm able to love and still have structures and standards that keep me happy, healthy, loved, peaceful, and safe. Because at first I didn't have boundaries. Everything was just out in the open, I guess. But now I'm more structured. Now I know what I want from myself, and I am able to pull through or show up in ways that are conducive to me, not just me, but for the good of all. And I'm very proud of myself for that. It's not easy to evolve from someone who just wanted to be liked and so people pleased and did anything and everything and had no boundaries and just was always available for my friends and some of my family, to being someone with a structured life who's living intentionally and mindfully and making choices that do not drain me in the end. Like this weekend was physically tiring because we slept late every single day and we were having so much fun, but it fulfilled me mentally, psychologically, and spiritually because I was learning so much about me. I was learning so much about the people that I grew up with. And I was learning how to show up as a different person and not really worrying about how they will perceive me, but just prioritizing how it made me feel. I can't believe I'm saying that today because young me wouldn't have been able to do that, but here I am doing it today. And so I'm grateful to be able to reflect. I'm grateful to be able to hang out with friends that I grew up with. It's not a lot of us that can sustain such long relationships, but I'm glad that I've been able to sustain it so long to be able to see myself evolve within the process and to still be able to laugh together, love each other, and bond even through so much growth just goes to show that those who love you for who you are will stick with you no matter what changes you experience, as long as it doesn't harm them, of course, or harm you. But I'm grateful. And as I unfold on this journey of becoming my highest, my greatest, my best evolutionary self, I am grateful for moments like this that help me reflect on the work that I've put in. And I'm very excited to see my highest and most divine self come to be.